It's the VIP Lounge. Welcome in. It's the PHNX Suns post-game show after a big win against the Clippers, 111-95. We are brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. I'm your host, Espo. He's Saul Bookman. He's Gerald Bourget. Lindsey Smith out tonight. I'm not going to tell you why. She's just out, and that's all you have to know right now. You guys, come on. Where is the energy, guys?
That was just such a weird transition. I didn't know what to say about fucking Lindsey after that.
Where's the energy about the game? Finally, they're off the schneid. They've won a game. Can we finally get back to Suns basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it. Like this was. Look, I'm not. Look, this was in the truest sense a get right game that I'm putting absolutely zero stock in terms of how much it means, but. They needed this. They needed to get back on track. They needed to end the losing streak. And they needed to see things like Chris Paul hitting his midi. They needed to see Devin Booker back on the court. They needed to see Mikal Bridges dropping 27 points on 11 of 18. So, no, it doesn't mean much to beat the Clippers C squad, but it's good for everybody's morale that they finally got back in the win column.
Yeah, this game absolutely meant shit, except for the fact that the Suns won. Mm-hmm. And they can feel a little bit better about themselves, and they moved on. And that is it. This game was trash. Let's just say it. Like the Suns played very well in spots. I thought they were a little sloppy from time to time. Mm-hmm. The Clippers were just tripping over themselves time after time after time again. Made a few little runs to try and make it interesting, but overall, this was just, hey, you got the W. Everybody got some shots up. Everybody got some run. Let's go home.
Emmanuel in the chat says, this was the Walmart version of win, but I'll take it. When you are a beggar, you cannot be a chooser. Those last 5 games were rough. The last 10 have not been spectacular. I will take a win against the Sisters of the Poor if it's what I got to get a victory on the board with. That's what the Clippers were tonight, and I am perfectly fine with it.
I said I would fucking quit watching Suns basketball if they lost this game tonight, so I'm glad they won.
That would have made it really tough to do your job.
Oh, I would have just stayed in my office.
Did you know we have a special guest star on the show?
Who's that?
Today? It's not the mistress behind the Mac, Emma. She's still there. Mm-hmm. But we got somebody that's going to be showing up from time to time on the show tonight and filling in as our 4th member of the show.
Don't you have to ask a question for them to appear?
No, they just pop up and give advice or give insight into tonight's game.
How so?
Yeah, sometimes you don't want them to give advice, and they just give advice.
I mean that's the truth. I don't know why I'm getting an echo over here. Are we gonna introduce our special guest tonight?
Yeah, why not?
Emma, Can you bring them in?
Yeah, whichever one you want.
What do you want to start with? You surprise me.
Oh, I'm gonna.
We had this well planned out.
I'm gonna pick my favorite one.
Please
didn't read them.
Oh, so this one is only the second double-double in Josh Okogie's career, as Clippy, the Microsoft paperclip, is showing up on the show tonight.
Oh, Clippy. He should have been the Clippers' 7th man tonight, honestly.
He could have started tonight.
It is kind of ironic that we introduced Clippy the night we played the Clippers.
That's exactly why we did it. So.
Are you sure?
Welcome to the joke.
I thought this was going to be the thing that we would do every show.
Oh, we're going to let Clippy stay around. Oh, okay.
I thought that's what it was. I had no idea that this was something that we were only doing once.
I banished his ass
back in
2009 and never looked back.
I thought we were only doing it once. I didn't even save the PSD for this.
It was a gag because we played the Clippers.
Yeah,
so Josh Okogie, good pick, Emma. He had a pretty big game tonight. Finished with, as Clippy told us, only the second double-double of his career, 11 points, 11 rebounds tonight. I felt like he was the guy that brought the energy, kind of set the tone when things looked like they may have been getting a little sloppy for this team.
I just thought that he brought a lot of energy to the floor, and I mean, he was a difference maker in terms, like Mikal had a great game too, but Okogie's energy is infectious. And I mean, honestly, for the last week, he's probably the only Sun that you felt like day in, day out, he brought his lunch pail to work, so to speak. Like he comes every single night ready to play. And that's what you want from somebody coming off the bench that, is really fighting for playing time, honestly. And when you watch a guy like Landry Shamet, you're like, it's a shame that somebody doesn't take his minutes. Oh, it should be Josh Okogie.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what this lineup is going to look like a couple weeks from now after the trade deadline, but what Okogie is doing right now is telling me I deserve to be a member of the playoff rotation. He's not going to play a ton of minutes, neither him nor Shamet would, but he has been great. And over the last 5 games, over that losing streak, he was the only Sun with like a positive point differential. He was the only Sun that was shooting like 50%, like 40 from 3. He's not a 3-point shooter, but he's been knocking him down, and he's been doing all the little stuff, the defensive plays, the offensive rebounds. He just comes in and he impacts the game in such an unconventional way that it's kind of infectious. And we saw that again tonight. The Suns were cruising, and then they kind of let up off the gas, and Okogie was the one who made those highlight plays, the tip slams, that kind of kept them afloat. So
I will say this. I tend to disagree with you a little bit in terms of Okogie not getting significant minutes maybe down the road or when it counts the most. Because if you look at a team like Golden State last year, and Eddie Johnson kind of pointed this out on the broadcast, they used Gary Payton II. And I look at Josh Okogie, and there's a lot of similarities between him and GP2 that I would definitely want to take more advantage of. Especially when things are kind of stagnant for your lineup. And this year, you cannot risk going with the status quo game in and game out, because clearly this team has shown too much inconsistency for you to pass up on opportunities to use guys like Josh Okogie, who bring a lot of energy into the game and a lot of effort and are infectious. So that's my perception of what Josh brings to the floor versus what the team is now. Now down the road, if they add another piece and things start to gel and everybody's playing at a higher level, then yeah, obviously I could definitely see it. But right now, as this team sits with the personnel that they have and the inconsistencies we've seen so far this season, you got to use Josh Okogie as many times as possible.
You ride the hot hand right now with him. What we heard when he came here, and I remember when Gerald was breaking him down when he arrived here. Great defensive guy. You knew he was going to come with that. You knew he was going to come with the effort. Good rebounder, but shooting was the question mark. Early on, he didn't shoot well, kind of fell out of the rotation. He's come out and he's played well from the floor as of late on the offensive end. And I think you got to ride that hot hand for as long as it continues. And then if he regresses back to the offensive player he's traditionally been, then pick and choose your spots where to use him.
But again, I think you're misinterpreting what Josh Okogie brings to the table. Yeah, he's hit a 3 here and there, but most of his buckets are at the rim. And like that's not a hot hand thing. That's an effort thing. He gives himself more and more opportunities by engaging in trying to get offensive rebounds and things of that nature. So I think what he's doing is probably the more consistent thing than anybody else on the Suns is doing, because it's effort. And you can always provide effort. And Josh Okogie knows if he doesn't provide effort, he's not even in the league. So I think it's something that you can count on, to be honest with you.
Gerald, am I wrong, though? Hasn't he traditionally struggled around the basket, too? This isn't a guy that's an automatic like he's been as of late.
Yeah, he's traditionally not shot the ball well from 3 and not shot the ball well around the basket. But if he's making plays like this and if he is attacking downhill, that's what you want. And I do think, like, as of right now, I would play Josh Okogie over Shamet in a playoff series. My point was more like minutes just get short in the playoffs because, like, bench guys play 10, maybe 15 minutes if there's, depending. Most of the starters are going to be around 35 to 40 minutes. But
shit, it feels like the starters are playing 35 to 40 right now.
They are if you're Mikal Bridges in a 20-point win. He's playing 39.
I don't get it at all.
Why is Booker playing 34, too, and Chris Paul 36 when this one was in hand?
Booker, I think they put him back in because they wanted him to, like, he started out great. He was 5 of 9, and then he just went super cold. So I think they wanted to let him shoot through it a little bit. But, like, 35 minutes in a game like this is still a lot coming off a hammy. 36 for Chris Paul, 39 for Mikal. Like, I know that Monty has said, like, he's with the 3 ball the way that it is today, he doesn't trust leads as much as he would like to anymore. But, like, with 5 minutes left, you're up by 20. Like, just pull the starters, man.
Yeah,
please.
Look, that wasn't a slight to Josh Okogie. I love what he's bringing to the table, and he also gave me my favorite Mikal meme I think I've ever had when he had the put back, the tip back dunk, and Mikal literally ran back down the court as if he was scared until the next defensive possession came up. But
Yeah.
I think it's time. I think we got to name him. I think Josh Okogie is our king of the game tonight. Our DraftKings king of the game, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists. He also added in 2 steals. Superb crown placement tonight as well, Emma, on that one. Yeah, I like it. Tough to do it when a guy wears a headband.
Yeah.
But you pulled this off spectacularly, Emma.
It's impressive. Yeah, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, Josh Okogie was not the best player on the court for the Suns tonight, but it felt like he had the biggest impact when the Suns needed it most, when the Clippers were trying to come back in the game. Obviously Mikal Bridges went off, Chris Paul played really well, but like Okogie just had that spark that they needed tonight when, they got caught coasting a little bit.
Yeah, the juice.
That juice. They call him nonstop, and that is what he was tonight.
And there's no doubt in that he was nonstop tonight. That's why he's our DraftKings king of the game. And I want to tell you about our friends over at DraftKings. The NBA is obviously in full swing, and they have some of the best ways to bet on NBA games. I'm a big fan of it. They have some of these prepackaged parlays that we enjoy doing as well. And if you want to take part in the action, you can download that app now. Sign up with the code PHNX. Place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win their game, and you're going to get $150 in free bets. And now I think you can feel safe to start betting the Suns again a little bit in those pregame money lines as well. Let's use that code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Damn, dude.
Hey,
I mean, Joel, what the fuck, man?
Y'all be nice to Emma in the chat.
Dude, what is wrong with you, guy? How you gonna diss my girl back here, putting in the work like she's shamming?
Yeah,
Oh, damn. That might be the biggest diss I've ever seen on this show.
Yeah, that one. I think that's the only one that's ever left me like speechless.
She's shaking
The
back.
other,
Can
the
you
other
hear it in
one's,
her
like,
voice?
funny. I like those. This one was like, fuck.
Damn,
what the fuck
Joel,
did I do?
you
You're
owe
the
her an
CP3
apology.
to my Booker, Emma.
Thank you.
Jeez.
And now it went from being rude to Emma to being rude to Shannon.
well, self-praise comes in many forms, apparently.
Hey, let's.
The Booker to my CP3 or CP3 to my Booker.
What's wrong with that? Like, I'm giving her credit. She sets us up for success here. That was
There
the
we
whole
go.
point.
Throw the lob, Emma.
Wow, you guys are just tough.
You named yourself Booker.
I'm the one leading the charge tonight, aren't I? You want to be the star? You try to carry your asses up and down the show for 48 minutes tonight.
God.
Just tell him 6 for 22.
I pulled my hammy on the way over here. Does that count for anything?
I think
Oh
that's
my
fair.
God.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the bench. Obviously, Josh Okogie, part of that bench, but wasn't just Josh tonight that got it done. One Jock Landale. Yeah, that's right. We're going back to Landale Landing and partying there tonight as Jock just had a big game. Came out. He had a double-double as well. I think we have another Clippy fact when it comes to one Jock here. He had number of rims he's destroyed in his career as a Sun. One. He wrecked the rim there in LA where they had to take 10 minutes in real time to fix the damn rim with 4 minutes left in this game. He came strong tonight.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he almost broke the rim a second time, which thank God he didn't because we needed that game to end. But Landale does a really good job at punishing teams that go small. He does a really good job of carving out space when he gets that switch on the pick and roll, and he punishes teams for it. Like 5 for 10, 4 of 5 from the free throw line. He got to the free throw line, double off the bench. Like, this is kind of what we saw early in the season, and then the Suns went away for him for whatever reason, and now it feels like they're starting to go back to him. Busy's been a little bit rough over the last few weeks, so it's been good to see Jock get some burn and make the most of it.
I just remember going back to last year how everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people were like, oh, you don't need DA. The system takes care of itself. Look at JaVale's per 36, and Biz can carry the load. And we saw a little glimpse of Biz trying to carry the load, and it is not pretty. I'll tell you that right now. Jock, I still don't understand why Monty switches between Biz and Jock, and he always likes to say it's the matchups, which I'm going to call bullshit, because Jock was clearly the better player tonight and should have played. He should have started, to be honest with you. I don't know what the thinking is. Maybe he's trying to give the bench a little bit more juice in terms of offensive production. That's the only thing I can think of as to why Jock wouldn't start, because Jock is clearly the better player between the two. Defensively, yes, Biz will give you some blocks. He'll give you some rebounds, but offensively, he's anemic, and you got to go with the better player.
I love that your argument is anybody could replace DA. You're like, yeah, look at Busy. But then you look at Jock's stat line, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, like 2 assists. Like, he came in and played pretty damn well. And to your point, if DA's out again, when New Orleans comes to town Saturday, I think you got to start Jock at this point, right?
They won't.
I don't know if I agree. I think with Jock coming off the bench, again, we've talked about this before, and maybe it's not the right way to do it, but Monty emphasizes maintaining kind of as close to the rotations as you can, with Jock being the guy coming off the bench. That should continue forward. Once DA is back, it should be Jock off the bench. So I think you put Busy into that starting role because maybe he's not going to play as many minutes, and that the athleticism, the rim rolling, it's a lot of what DA brings to the table. So you try to keep the continuity from group to group.
I mean, that's fair as long as you're limiting the minutes and giving Jock the minutes like you did tonight in 26 to Busy's 18. So if you go that route and you play the hot hand, if Jock's feeling it, I'm fine with it. As our friends on the Aussie Suns pod called him Vegemite Shaq. I think we might need to pump the brakes a little bit. I'm the biggest Jock fan you're gonna find. I'm not comfortable with putting him in the Shaq category yet, but I did love what we saw from him, and the bench overall I thought performed admirably on a night where they were going up against third stringers, fourth stringers in some cases.
I thought 2 guys had a good night. I thought the rest of the bench was meh. To be honest with you, I thought Jock and Okogie are the 2 that showed up. Everybody else Shamet was awful.
Damian Lee had 7 points on 3 or 4 shooting in 15 minutes. Like,
he was all right.
He came in and did.
Like I said, meh.
Enough. Yeah, I mean.
It's not awful, but not great. It's just meh.
Yeah, but if you don't have Jock and Josh play the way that they do, this game is much closer than.
Well, that's what I said, besides those 2.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's 2 players off your bench, all right? So
I said besides those 2.
I mean, if you take out the one guy that we've been dissing all show, I think they shot 14 of 24 off the bench. It was mostly those 2 guys, but I thought the effort was there, and if you look at the plus minus for the bench, it's all positives. Even Shamet, who went 1 of 7, so like they were still defending well. They outscored the Clippers in bench points pretty significantly, and it got a little bit closer in garbage time. But in that like first quarter, what kind of blew the lead wide open was those early bench units. So I'm encouraged by that, even if it is against the Clippers D squad.
Can we talk? Plus minus, the fact that somehow Shamet is a plus 12 on a night he goes 1 of 7.
Plus minus is the worst stat in basketball.
It's not if it has the proper context, and I think tonight it had the proper context because that bench unit was so good when they came in there and kind of blew the lead open in that second quarter.
So you're saying Shamet was a plus 12 and it's solid?
I'm not saying he's solid. I'm saying he was a part of a good bench unit, and he was fine. Like, he defended well.
Mikal has 27 points in this game. Is a plus 8. Like,
right? No, I know. I'm not saying it's a perfect stat. I'm saying you need the proper context to discuss it.
Like any stat, I think that's the case. I know a lot of people rely on that to go.
No.
Somebody had a good game, and you can't. I'm sorry, you can't compare Mikal and Shamet in the same.
One of these things is not like the other.
I mean, if you're the Suns trying to trade Shamet, you're going like, yeah, Landry Shamet plus 12.
Just look at the plus minus.
He is
please.
a plus minus god.
Do not look at anything else.
Ignore everything else. That plus minus is what you want. Like a used car salesman.
Hey, but that form though, it looks pretty good until he releases the ball. And then it's
he's like
shit.
that used car. Only one owner. Old lady only drove it on Sundays. Ignore the fact that it has 200,000 miles and can barely run.
100% from the free throw line tonight.
Oh my
100%.
God. Stop, Gerald. Just stop.
Did you read that? I thought he was 4 or 5. Did I read that wrong?
He was 4
he's 4 of 4. You're right.
4.
We'll give you that. 100% from the free
Sham
throw
God
line.
is here.
If they only move the 3-point line into where the free throw line is, we'll be in
If they only
business.
didn't play defense in the NBA.
I guarantee you it'll be 10 years from now, and I still won't be able to explain to you how Shamit went from being like a 40% 3-point shooter with every other team to this with the Suns. I will never be able to explain it.
I think Saul just ruined this dude's confidence. Somebody sent him a super
Somebody
cut
must
of
have done
Saul's
something,
takes.
man, because I don't get it. I don't get, like, I wanted to be on board. It's not like when he signed initially, I was like, fuck this guy. I wasn't like that. And then we got to about 20 games in the season. I was like, are we sure this guy's good? And then we got to like game 40 and I was like, are we really sure this guy's any good?
See,
and then we got to game 60 and it just never stopped. And I was like, bro, give me one game. And he's giving you like 3 games of where you're like, there's the Shamit that we hoped we would get.
See, I'm going to call slight bullshit on this because from the moment he signed, that was the day that DA did not get his extension. And everybody was salty as hell about that.
But I didn't really know much about Shamit's game, like to the point where you did.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll let his play do the talking. And then when I realized $40 million just went out the fucking window like that, I was like, no.
44. Get it right.
This is bullshit.
It's tough.
I'm not going to read Mannery's comments, but Eli wants to know when will Saul interview Shamit. We're going to set up that one-on-one one day for sure.
I will not be here for that.
You know,
I won't be here for that.
none of us will. I know that Landry Shamit isn't always reliable, but our friends at Four Peaks always are. The best beer in the valley. What? It was that? That's not a bad transition.
That's a reach.
Oh, come on. Are you saying our friends at Four Peaks aren't reliable with
No,
their
they are reliable.
They're absolutely reliable.
That's right. You two can shut up now.
Digs at Sham, the rough man.
Our friends at Four Peaks have some of the best beers in the valley. One of my favorite things is their holiday advent box that they have 24 beers for the month of December. You don't need to get it, Emma. People don't need okay. Poor Emma has to walk over and grab the holiday box now. 24 beers in 24 days. It's like an adult advent calendar, or if you're feeling bad, just 24 beers you can drink at any point in the month of December. It is spectacular. They're the holiday cheer box from Four Peaks. Today is the 15th. I think we have two beers there, 14th and 15th. So Saul's going to go open those.
Man, what
I tell you about something that our friends at Four Peaks are sponsoring. It is our first annual inaugural PHNX Tea Party presented by Four Peaks at the Dobson Ranch Golf Course. We're renting out the entire driving range, and we were there earlier this week, and it is spectacular. This is not your simple driving range. This thing is next level. Swing bays where you can play any golf course you want. It is amazing. We're renting them all out. You can come hang out with Big Drive Energy, the PHNX crew, your friend from Four Peaks, and fellow diehards for a night of golf, food, drinks, contest prizes, and more. As if that's not enough, there is more as well. Our PHNX Suns crew, that's us here, are going to be hosting the watch party for the Suns versus Timberwolves. Four Peaks will be out there providing you beer, samples, and swags. Click the link in our description right now to become part of it. $45 per person, and then $36 if you're a diehard. You can get foursomes for $160 per foursome, or $120 if you are a diehard.
I'm really glad that you clarified that we're the PHNX Suns crew. I mean, that's us here. I thought it was on fucking Cardinals. If you were here for
PHNX Cardinals, you're in the wrong place, bro.
I mean, I just wanted to clarify because this is not an ad written specifically for us to read.
Am I on the right show right now? Also, two cans, 14th and 15th. The 14th one was the Desert Day Drinker.
Oh, boy.
But this one, the Zeracol Desert IPA. Ooh,
it's a big boy.
That's a fancy can,
yeah,
too.
That's a fancy can.
All right.
There you go.
Need to put that in the fridge and drink it later.
That'll be a Saul special on a Friday. That is nice.
I'm not a big IPA guy, so probably not.
Oh, I'll take that down.
Then that'll be a Gerald special when we get off the air.
Yep.
I wish our friends over at OG's would give me an advent calendar too, because 24 days of OG's would be quite spectacular as well. I'm a big fan of their orange creamsicle. I love that. I was kind of curious when we started this. I'm no longer kind of curious. I am kind of fabulous. I've partaken in it and enjoyed.
I've been pulling out all the stops tonight. Every single one of them.
Kind of fabulous.
Kind of fabulous.
He says without batting an eye.
Are you still using their sleep gummy, the aquaberry flavor one?
I mean, I use it whenever I need to, whenever I feel like I need to, like probably tonight, because usually at late nights, once you get fucking delirious like I am right now, when you get home, you just kind of sit up all of a sudden. You're like, oh, I got this bolt of energy, so I usually take a gummy.
Yeah, Saul likes to be kind of curious on a late night.
No, I mean, I probably dabble in OGs 2 to 3 times a week
because you're kind of fabulous.
It's that fantastic. Yeah, it's such a great product. They're so widely popular. They're the number one scratch made gummy in Phoenix. They're just such a great product. You got to take advantage of their great flavors and product, really.
As always, you can find them at your local dispensary. Must be 21 and over to enjoy. Let's talk about Devin Booker. We kind of buried the lead. Devin Booker was back tonight. What did you guys make of his evening? I felt it was a little uneven, but kind of to be expected.
Look, I mean, people are going to look at the fact that he only scored 14 points on 6 of 22 shooting, 1 of 9 from 3, and I get it. Like, he went super cold after the start, but when the game was still competitive, he was 5 of 9. He looked good and athletic. I know a lot of us were concerned, okay, how's he going to look coming off the hammy? He was only out for 2 games. He's dealt with hammy injuries before, but he looked fine. He had the reverse dunk. He had that nice little reverse layup under the rim. So I'm not really stressed about it. Like, all of the shots he was missing were shots when the game was pretty much well out of reach. So yeah, it'll be nice to see how he plays against the Pelicans in a game that should be a lot more competitive. But for now, all I cared about was him looking okay athletically and coming out of it without retweaking anything.
I think that he played, and I think he was just trying to get his legs back into it, and that's about it. I was concerned that he played over 30 minutes. I don't understand why. I mentioned to these guys when we were watching the game, I was like, I don't think Devin Booker's coming back in the fourth quarter because they were still up by 20 plus points.
Right.
And then he came back and I was like, but why? Like, he has not had a good stretch these last 10 days. And tonight doesn't help that fact. Obviously 6 of 22 shooting. He's been off with his shot. He just has. He hasn't scored like the Devin Booker we know. So we're about to find out on Saturday, like if he's feeling really good or not, because obviously the Pelicans present a lot of problems, and that's an actual matchup we can talk about, because tonight was practice. It was practice for these guys.
Tonight looked like tired legs. I know, not because he's played too much, but because when you have a few nights off and you nursed a hammy because you're not working on anything like that, it felt like as the game went on, he just had those heavy legs and wasn't able to hit it. What I didn't like, if we're going to nitpick it, is he went 1 from 9 for 3. At some point, just stop jacking them, right? What's the point of why are you shooting 9 of them when you obviously don't have it tonight? But they were up big, so I guess shooters try to shoot themselves out of a slump.
Yeah, I mean, we could break this down any series of ways about Devin Booker and his impact tonight, but his impact tonight is almost useless to talk about because they were playing against a G League team tonight, like, basically. So, like, he got some run, he got some game time on the floor, and that's my biggest takeaway. He's back.
I did like that he went for that reverse dunk. That was probably the fanciest dunk he's had in his career, and I felt like he did it just to say to everybody, the hamstring's fine. Don't worry, and I'm doing this just to show off a little bit right now.
Actually, when you jump backwards, you use more of your quad than your hamstring, so I'm just saying.
Oh man, we got a sports science segment going
so
on.
now he's only going to dunk backwards till the hammies are good.
That's it.
Is that it? Maybe he'll shoot his jump shot backwards like that too. Maybe that'll take less stress. God, I can't ever just make a point with that. Well, actually, let me tell you.
And it wasn't even me.
No.
Sorry, I didn't realize that I was degrading you here on the PHNX Suns show. That's us, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought we were the PHNX Rising show. I thought we were talking soccer. You guys. You know who had an impressive night, but it felt quiet. Chris Paul almost had a triple-double tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Had 15 points, 13 assists, and 7 rebounds. But I don't feel like I remember anything particular outside of like one midi that he hit.
Oh, I remember the whole first half because he was great in the first half. Because we've been waiting. We've been talking all season long about, okay, can he still get to his spot in the midi? Like, is he settling too much from three? And there were a couple of instances in the first half where it felt like he pulled a little too early. But he was 2 for 6, not terrible. He was 2 for 5 at halftime. But I did like seeing him kind of snake his way to the elbow and hit the patented midi shot that he's been hitting for his entire career. We haven't seen a lot of that this season. So the fact that he shot 6 for 13 after a really bad night in Houston, I think Mikal Bridges' horrible night took a lot of focus off of that. But it was good to see him kind of bounce back, facilitate, play well, and look for his shot. Like that's something he doesn't do a lot anymore. We've wondered if it's because he's older or if it's because it's a function of his new role. Tonight looked more like the Chris Paul we're used to seeing.
I mean, I hope that this is the start of things to come. Mm-hmm. I hope that, his legs are getting back under him and he's feeling pretty good. I really do hope this. Again, I feel like they were playing against a G League team, so it's hard to take a lot away from this.
Right.
But he played very well. He was solid, and he resembled more of the Chris Paul that we know and love. More than what he had shown previously. So
they better hope it's not fool's gold because they need him. I mean, that's point blank.
Oh, yeah.
This team needs Chris Paul, even if it's 80% of what they had last year. They need him being effective. My wife is taunting me in the chat tonight. So Tracy says, y'all miss Lindsay, don't you?
I mean, she was sticking up for you earlier when you made that joke. I can't remember.
Yeah, she said nice transition.
Yeah, your transition.
I believe our friend Clippy had one more Devin Booker stat for us tonight. It was a Clippers Devin Booker stat that I found interesting. Kawhi Leonard, I can read this.
I can't read that.
I wrote it. So
this looks like a Gerald quote.
It's a Gerald quote.
Why does Clippy look drunk?
Clippy is drunk. It's 11:30 at night.
Why is one eye closed and the other one's open?
He's like slurring his words.
He's like, Devin Booker.
That's why that shit's all blurry.
Hey, the Microsoft Clippy here.
It was Windows
Kawhi
95.
Leonard and Paul George have missed more games this season, 30 of them, than Devin Booker has missed in the last 3 seasons combined, 28 games.
That's kind of crazy.
Excuse me, 23 games.
That's kind of crazy.
That's how much they use this load management bullshit. That they've missed 30 combined games this year. Devin Booker's missed 23 over the last 3 years.
Good stat, Drunk Clippy.
Hey, look at that. Drunk Clippy coming up big for us tonight. So let's tell you about our friends at Game Time. If you want to get into the Suns-Pelicans game on Saturday, the Game Time app and the Game Time website are where you need to go. You can save up to 60% on last-minute tickets. I've used it for a couple things. I'm looking at concert tickets there. I'm still looking at my Tay-Tay tickets. I haven't found a price I'm comfortable pulling the trigger on, but still using it. You used it for a Cardinals game earlier this year, right?
Cardinals, Wildcats, Suns.
You got great Wildcats tickets.
Yep. I throw up for 8 tickets for $100.
Total?
It was like 90. Total.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you can get with Game Time. Usually you don't want to procrastinate, but with Game Time, it actually pays to do that. You can save up to 60%. You can click that link in the chat or in the game notes because buying tickets through there helps us and it helps you out save money. And then, Saul, Bad Birdie, you guys were wearing it while we were out at Dobson Ranch the other day for our all staff meeting, and I'm jealous. You guys get all the cool Bad Birdie gear. The shirts are pretty dope. I love the hat. both the bird hat and the hat that just says bad on it. I should wear the one that says bad on it because my golf game is very much bad.
So. No, it's fantastic. I mean, the colors, the different. I have a quarter zip that I wear, and I fucking love it. It's comfortable. It breathes. It's although the other day when we were on the course, it was fucking cold as shit when I was wearing it. But
you could have used 3 of them.
I could have used a lot more of them for sure. I digress. But they have so many different colors and different styles. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love the way it feels. It's actually wildly popular now. It's getting more and more popular by the day. Use promo code BadBirdiePHNX15. Save yourself 15% off at badbirdiegolf.com. I'm telling you, the hats, the shirts, they have pants, like the whole 9 yards. You're gonna love every single thing that you buy from there.
I also love that their logo looks like the Twitter bird died because that's pretty apropos right now.
Spot on.
Let's take a look at what's coming up in the rest of the week for the Suns here on our look ahead. Saturday night, 7 p.m. against the Pelicans. We know how things have gone against the Pelicans previously. Not great, Bob.
No.
Is what I would say about that. They've lost the last 2. We've taken some heat from Pelicans fans. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping for a big bounce back, but what are you guys looking for on Saturday night?
I mean, honestly, just a stronger effort overall from first to fourth quarter. I think the Pelicans have dominated, especially those interior quarters, the second and third quarters. And you just can't let them pull away. Listen, this is an opportunity for you to remind the league that you're still up there, that you're still a strong team, that you're still a contender. You can't let too many of these games go away because, as James Jones has said, like they look at these games as important, more important than a game like tonight. So you got to come out, you got to play, and you got to play well. They haven't done that the last couple against the Pels, and I expect them to on Saturday. Devin Booker, what I'm really looking for is Devin Booker to snap out of this little funk that he's in. He's been in a funk for a while now, 4 games, and it all started with the MVP matchup against the Mavs, and it hasn't been right since. So I'm looking for him to kind of get back into his groove again because it's sorely missed.
Yeah, I'm looking for a bounce back game from Book against the number 2 team in the West. I'm looking for a win against this team because you look at the Suns' record and they are significantly better at home as opposed to on the road. They're only 5-9 on the road, and that's with tonight's win. They've lost as many road games already this season as they did all of last year. And let's get a little win streak going. They beat the Clippers tonight because they should. Then they got New Orleans, and then it's Lakers, Wizards before the Grizzlies come to town, and the Grizzlies are the new number 1 team in the West. And then after that, they're on like a 5 or 6 game road trip that starts Memphis, Washington, Toronto, New York, Cleveland. Like, now is the time to pile up wins because the schedule does get tough over the next few weeks.
I'm going to ask you guys this. Do we see a trade before Christmas?
Before Christmas? No.
Before Christmas.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I know everybody was waiting for December 15th as a date.
I think that was just a day that people talked about in terms of more players being available. So maybe it presented more opportunities. But I feel like nothing's going to happen until we get close to the trade deadline, to be honest. I'm maybe 3 or 4 weeks away from the trade deadline at most.
I think some of these teams have to figure out who they are. The Utahs of the world, the Wizards, are they actually, playing for something? Teams like that the Suns have been rumored to, be trying to make a deal with, or does Miami start to fall back, or Atlanta where they feel like they really need a piece? I think that's, that may shake some things out, but that may not happen until close to the deadline, just because there is so much parity.
Yeah, I don't think it will because everybody right now, you don't want to sacrifice a piece because you're like, man, we're in this right now. Like even the Jazz, like one of the surprises of the league this year, why would they trade any valuable asset unless they can get one in return? Because they're right there. Like they can compete with anybody right now. And so I'm not saying that that's going to last, but hell, you never know with this league. A couple years ago, before the season even started, we didn't know Kawhi was going to tear his ACL in the second series of the playoffs. We didn't know like all these stars were Jamal Murray getting injured down the stretch. Like that's why you keep your core. That's why you build your team as best as possible to take advantage of those situations, which the Suns did and got to the finals. This year is probably going to be one of those years where a lot of teams are available and feeling ready to make a run, a potential run. And so it's going to be very interesting. And that's why I think it'll be all the way up until the last minute where teams finally look in the mirror and say, okay, we need to do something because we can't keep this asset and sacrifice the return we would get.
Right. You need more time to let this stuff kind of develop. The Suns are the only team right now that has the urgency to make a trade like right now. Everybody else is waiting to see how their season unfolds. Like, you want to see teams like the Wizards, the Bulls, the Raptors continue to lose. I think the Wizards have lost like 8 straight. You want to see these teams that have attractive players kind of spiral a little bit, because then once it gets close to the deadline, it's like, okay, they're going to blow things up. They're going to be sellers at the deadline. These are the teams we can target. As of right now, before Christmas, no team is going to be willing to jump out on that ledge unless they're already in the tank race. And even then, like, it's still too soon for that.
And I don't even know that the Suns are all that motivated. Do they want to trade Jay? Yeah, but they've sat as long as they have already. What's another 3-4 weeks if they have to go that long to get the right deal? So
this will be more like 6 to 8 weeks, right?
If they go to the trade deadline, yeah. I mean,
which I think they will, because I don't know how much is going to change really in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Somebody might get desperate. I mean, who knows? Dallas is fighting all sorts of injuries. Maybe they want to make some desperate play. They think Jay could help. I don't know. Somebody may all of a sudden get desperate and make an offer that works here. But I'm not holding my breath on any of it. I just wanted to bring it up. I saw the chat talking a lot about trades. Any final thoughts, as Lindsay likes to ask us?
No, I don't think so. Again, we're not going to put much stock in this game because it was against their D squad, but at the same time, they needed a game like tonight to just feel winning again, feel the ball go through the hoop, and have Devin Booker back out there. So
I want to feel winning again. That was nice.
Let's get a win streak going.
Yeah, string 2 of them together so we can have 2 nights in the VIP lounge. We've spent way too much time.
I forgot what the music sounded like, the intro music.
You actually did say that.
It had been so long.
Well, hopefully we'll be back here on Saturday night. Saul and I will be sitting here. Gerald will be out at the arena, but we'll bring you both pregame and postgame for Suns and Pelicans on Saturday. So for Gerald Bourguet, you can follow him at Gerald Bourguet. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow me at Espo. Remember, be nice to Emma, because without her, we don't go on live. Ahoy, ahoy.
Tell the Phoenix Metro, Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsay, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like Dan.